Welcome to
Okay.
Jewish Boy Calls His Mother. I'm your host, Sadia, and this is my mother, Ima. Wow, we figured out the issue. This whole time, we just simply didn't hang up the phone. That's all it
It's so
was.
funny. It was so simple.
I was like, what's going on? This is ridiculous. I'm telling you, you're messing things up. Things are working out. Oh, goodness me.
Let's
Jeez Louise.
blame the mother. It's
It's
the
the
typical
typical
thing
thing
to
to
do.
do.
Let's
Let's
blame the
blame the
mother
mother
instead
instead
of
of
looking
looking
at
at
me
me or
and you.
shall I blame the mother or the problems really I and I don't what's the last lyrics from
It
that?
goes, it goes like this. Should I blame my mother? Do you think it's really right? Or
Right.
should I try to change myself and try with all my might?
Ah, that's what it was. I always got that messed up. Um, okay. Now I have a few questions.
Oh, I want to talk about the hurricane.
Yes, we'll talk about the hurricane. I just have a
Yes.
few questions, and then we'll get into the hurricane. All right.
Okay.
All right. First one. What did you talk about on your first date with Tati?
Um, well, all I remember
Yeah.
was we took a walk. It was Simchas Torah. It was Yontif,
Okay.
and we took a walk in Glen Avenue Park. And we first started walking with each other, and we didn't say anything. We were both quiet. We're just walking, and then your father says to me, "Don't expect a vort until December."
Yes. Yes. But what were you guys talking about though? What was it? What did you guys talk about the weather? Did you talk about each other's family, sports, not sports, movies, maybe, or
Neither of us were sports people,
yeah,
thank
that's
God.
why I said
I
not
never
sports.
I never wanted to be a sports widow. I hated sports. I thought it was way overplayed. In fact, when I was a little girl and we would be driving in the car and we'd be listening to the radio and hearing all this good music, when my father would turn off would go away would turn off the radio station with the music and put on the baseball game, I just went,
See, I have a similar story to that, but it wasn't sports, it was talk radio. And it was Tati never listened to music when I was in the car. Like never. Like on a rare case, I think one time I was driving with Tati from school on a Sunday back home, and he was listening to Rolling Stones and singing to it very badly. And and I asked him, I'm like, because in my head, I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. The only reason why he'd be singing is because he's going through a breakdown or he just quit something and he's just feels more relieved. So I asked him, like, Todd, do you still work for Freddie? Like he was the guy that he used to work for catering. He's like, no, I actually just stopped working there. I'm like, oh, that's why. Okay. And that was like the only one of the only times I can remember like listening to music in the car with Tati. Because if it was always talk radio or maybe some like Jewish music, you
Well,
know.
your father loved the Stones and the Grateful Dead,
Yes.
and the louder and the brasher and the more what's that called?
Intense.
More atonal
Mm.
music. The word for notes that don't go together is called atonal, and the more atonal the music was, the better he liked it. And he did like singing, but he didn't like singing. He liked the kind of singing, like I said, where it was really screaming. And there was one time where he was in the shower and I heard him screaming. And I thought he had fallen or something and hurt himself. And I ran over to the bathroom and I'm banging it back. I kept saying, "Are you okay, Zal? Are you okay? Are you okay? You okay?" And he opens up the door and he looks at me and says, "I was singing."
Yeah, I think you've said that before. Um, I mean, I have some of his other songs. I think also you're such a strong classicalist. I don't think you understand like the beauty of like Led Zeppelin, which I know Tati was a huge fan of, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And like there was definitely strong like the song Going to California by Led Zeppelin is like one of my favorite songs to listen to of all time. Like it's such a calming, relaxing song. Um, Also, I'm trying to think of what it's called, but I know it starts with him go the Robert Plant going the baby 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 I'm gonna leave you. You know the whole whatever. You never heard Led Zeppelin, but basically it was very, very good. That was one of
You know,
Tati's.
well, the heyday of, the songs they're going, baby, 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 and all that. This friend of mine was so funny. He used to sing the song that went, "Since I left my masochistic baby, I do nothing but beat on the wall."
That's funny. Um, so adding on to another question, um, if you can choose a success in any way, like you choose one thing and you're going to be successful at it no matter what would you choose?
Raising my kids to
Oh
be
wow,
good people, which thank God, Hashem,
banged up on
I
that
have
one.
succeeded.
So really,
And you were
that's
all you were all an amazing bunch of human beings. Now you cannot argue with that, can you?
I have low self-esteem. It's fine. I can put myself down. So this is even a challenge. Um, no, I really you choose that raising your kids. I don't know.
You know
Like
something? I'm telling you, you talk to people who are, well, you're not a parent yet, but when
no.
you talk to people who are parents, and they'll tell you that um that it's like, no matter how successful you are in anything else, if chas v'shalom you don't succeed with your child, God forbid, gets in some sort of really heavy duty, serious trouble, or
Hmm.
turns out not to be such a good person or whatever, they said all your successes mean nothing.
Well,
If there's anything that, chas v'shalom is wrong about your children, or some way, something, I don't want to go into too many details, but
no, it's fine.
you get the idea.
Yeah, no, I
Something
get it. I get
serious
it.
goes
No, I
wrong,
totally get it.
that people, it doesn't matter, no matter how successful, no matter how rich you are, it doesn't matter. The fact is that, I'm Marlon Brando's son. Evidently, was guilty of a murder.
Oh wow.
It was one of these situations where there was an argument. He took out a gun. His story was he was trying to scare the person with it that accidentally went off, but he was arrested and, of course, stood trial for murder. And I remember reading this interview with Marlon Brando at the time, and Marlon Brando said, "It doesn't matter how rich I am. It doesn't matter how successful I am. It all means nothing now."
Wow. I can understand that to a point where it's like you no matter what your life is, if your relationship sucks, everything else sucks. But if
Yeah,
everything else sucks, but your relationship is like good, then everything else is fine.
so true.
I
Oh yeah.
I I was listening to a few of these like relationship people, relationship gurus and whatnot. I have um on my phone. I listen to it on like my YouTube reels or my Instagram where like as I'm working, I scroll, not look at it, but like I quickly scroll and and there's like a minute or two clip of somebody talking about something inspirational or a quick piece of advice. And that was one thing that really stuck out to me because I know what that feels like when you have like a really rough relationship that you're trying to get through. And even though you might have some level of success anywhere else, like when you have a bad relationship, forget about it. You feel like you want to die. You feel like you can't go anywhere. You're just done. You're just
Mm-hmm.
so freaking done.
Yes.
You know?
That's so true. So true.
It's
So true.
yeah. So you wanted to talk about
So it
the
looks like
hurricane?
looks like our relationships doesn't mean everything to us. It's not money. I think, money takes a good second or third place in our
Well,
lives.
I think
Number one's got to be relationships.
I don't know if I've said this over the podcast, but I was again listening to another guy say this. It was a preacher, I think, and he asked somebody, what do they really want out of life? What's the most important thing to them? And they said money. He's like, okay. He's like, if you had all the money in the world now, but you'll die tomorrow if you take it, will you take it? The guy said no. So he said, okay, so life is more important than money. He said, okay, so what if I gave you all the money in the world now, but you're going to be sick for the rest of your life?
Oh
Will you
gosh.
take it? He said, no. He's like, okay, so your health is more important. He's like,
Mm.
so then he said, well, if I want to give you like all the money in the world and then your mother dies, right? As soon as you take
Oh.
it, will you take it? I said no. He's like, okay, so your parents are more important. So money really isn't the important thing. You want a level of security, and security comes in on a different level, you know. And I didn't listen to the rest of the speech, but you kind of could put two and two together, where it's about having bitachon and learning how to work through that and going through your struggles and being able to work through that in a sense of knowing that, like, as long as you feel safe and secure in your life, you're going to be
Mhm.
fine no matter what happens to you. Similar to that, like, old Zusha Ivanopoulos story, you know, the one where, like, somebody went to the Baal Shem Tov and they asked him, like, oh, can you please, you know, help me understand, like, how to make my life better, because my life is just miserable and terrible. He was just going through a lot. So the Baal Shem Tov says, go to Reb Zusha Ivanopoulos and ask him what it's like to live with misery and still be happy. So he went to Reb Zusha Ivanopoulos, and Reb Zusha Ivanopoulos lives on this hill, you know, no bed, just a flat board, you know, barely any food for a family, you know, has wife and his kids, and, like, clearly his other living expenses and other stuff, like, there was, like, really rough times. So the chassid went up to Reb Zusha, and Reb Zusha asked him what he needed, and he said he was sent by the Baal Shem Tov to ask him what is it like to live in misery and still see, you know, success. And Reb Zusha said, honestly, I don't know, because I've never been miserable. And, like, that's the whole lesson, you know. It's about getting through the rough times. I know when I was going through my rough times, I kind of held on to those stories. Also, Gamze Yavor. That's also very true. You know, this too shall pass. Um,
Ah. Mm-hmm.
when you were going through the rough times of, like, us growing up and whatnot, what did you hold on to?
It's a really good question. Um, well, also the story about the Shalom HaMelech with the with the ring,
Yeah,
the
Gamze
anti-ring
Yavor.
ring.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
right. Yeah, that was one of the things that helped me. Just um, I I'm
You
not
were you were
s-
just you were just basically checked out and doing whatever you could to just, like,
that
make
was
it
just it.
through. Checked
I
out
was focused on you know just getting I
day to
just
day.
I yeah I used to think of the analogy of riding a wave,
Mm-hmm. And,
and I
like,
would tell myself, just ride the wave, just stay on there, stay on the surfboard, just ride the wave and ride it in. I used to
so,
think of that, and I thought of that analogy a lot, just riding the wave.
but did you enjoy your life when you were riding the wave, or you were just so, like, holding on so tight you didn't want to, like holding on to, like, a surfboard when you're lost at sea, instead of just trying to, you know, soak in the moment for what it is and try to enjoy it?
Trying to think. Well, basically, basically, I I basically did enjoy my life. Thank God. It was This might sound funny, but um, a lot of the enjoyment I got out of life was a combination of music, of my playing different instruments, singing, playing piano, occasionally violin, guitar, whatever, um, and raising you kids. That was Raising your kids was very enjoyable to me. I used to love reading to you guys, and especially bedtime. Bedtime was my favorite, where I would sit maybe read when I sit remember and just read book after book with you kids, tell you stories.
Yeah,
I
because
found that very enjoyable. If Working with you with your schoolwork, I enjoyed that very much too. I found it very enjoyable. I found the combination, like um, also I was I would be teaching. I taught. I had various teaching jobs. I taught Hebrew school up until the time Pesci was born,
yeah,
and then I think teaching, raising your kids, like I said, being involved in my music, and also when I would think about some of the good things I had in life. Thank God I was very, very lucky. Thank God I had very decent health. Just very, very lucky about that. I was thank God I was able to have one child after the other without any, thank God, without any health problems. That was amazing.
Yeah.
That was wow. That's like worth $1 million, because some that you meet so many people that never are not as lucky, and thank God I was very lucky about that. See, a lot of my problems, thank God, in a way, came externally, not internally. Maybe that's why can I know I was still happy.
Like, what do you,
Because
what do you mean externally? Obviously, it was money. Money, I think, was the main issue.
money was a issue, but there were, how can I say it? There are certain individuals,
Yeah,
adult
yeah,
individuals in my life that I do not want to name, who were total pains in the butt to deal
yeah. Just a real piece of work, to be honest.
with.
Oh gosh, and yeah. So I guess because what's
There was one time your father got mad at me one time during an argument, and he
yeah.
said to me, "What did your parents teach you?"
What did your
And
parents
I
teach
said
you?
to him, "You heard this one?"
No.
I said to him, "How to how does oh I said to him how to deal with totally obnoxious individuals over a long period of time."
Oh my gosh. I am curious though, Ima, and maybe this is just was a subconscious thing. But you were talking about reading to us stories, and you read to me Yosef and Mushki all the time. Um, but Pesci's very bitter because you never read to her. Like, what was there a reason for that?
I'll tell you the truth. I don't understand that. I don't know how Pesci can. I read to all you guys.
She
I
feels
I
like you
don't.
left her out, like you kind of ditched her, and you read in the boys' room, not the girls' room. That
Well,
that was that was
well,
the
what
main
happened was
issue.
because you guys wanted me to read at the same time. So what I had to do was, in fact, there was one point when I was reading Harry Potter where, in order to read to you guys all together, I actually, your rooms were right next to each other, and there was a hallway. Like
Yeah.
your rooms were like, it was a corner where one room was at one angle and the other room was at a 90-degree angle to the next one. So I got in that corner in the hallway and I read Harry Potter out loud, standing in the hallway, so I could get everybody at the same time.
I think we eventually just got the audiobooks at the end, which is funny because the American audiobooks versus the English audiobooks were read by two British people, but each one was a different person,
Ooh.
which I thought interesting. And also, I just finished watching this TV show called The Patient. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's really cool. It's about this therapist who gets kidnapped by a serial killer, but the other subplot that he's going through is he has issues with his son because he's a Reformed Jew and his wife was a cantor of a Reformed synagogue, and and his son became from,
Mm-hmm.
and the issues with that and the way they addressed the problems was just so spot on. The way the Reform like Jews felt towards the a religious Jew, and the way the religious Jew felt towards the Reform, and the dialogue they had and the expressions they had was like real spot on.
That's
Um,
unusual because
I
usually in these programs, they usually show, they usually are not too favorable to the Orthodox person.
well, I was reading. There's this website slash Facebook group that slash whatever called Jew in the City, and they really push strongly to have proper representation for the Orthodox Jews. The boiling point was there was this like TV show called Nurses in Canada that like did a horrible job and did like horrible Jew face, just this horrible concept of like these like just these angry, racist, ignorant, like religious Jews that were some conglomerate mixed between Hasidic and Yeshivish and like modern Orthodox, like totally a really warped version. It was really bad.
Yeah,
And
I've heard from over the years from a lot of people that living in Canada that unfortunately there is a tremendous amount of very blatant anti-Semitism in Canada. It's been there. It's been for a while
so
because
which
I remember them talking about it during the 1980s.
so
How
which country doesn't have anti-Semitism then?
I think, well, obviously, yeah, true. There's anti-Semitism all over the world, but it's more in some countries, more in some countries, less.
So North
United States,
Korea versus
United States, they try to. It's not fashionable. You have yeah. I mean, you hear a lot of non-Jews really being very vocal against the against non-Jews that are anti-Semitic, and they really, I've heard a lot of like non-Jews that are really doing a great job of standing up to these bigots,
well, what's funny,
and but
what
not so much. And the Canada, I don't know what it is in Canada. There's I know I've heard from like I say, even when I was in college, there was one of my professors, a Jewish woman,
Mhm.
who I was thinking about going to McGill University for my post grad studies,
Okay.
and she had lived in she had gone up. I think she'd studied in Canada for a while, and she said, um, not that she totally advised me against doing, but she said that there's a lot of anti-Semitism in Canada, and this is 1973 that she told me this.
I guess. I mean, there's always going to be a problem, especially in colleges. Um, which was funny because another scene they had in the movie in the TV show, it was showing that the main character he was going on a college campus and he's walking by and he sees this sign with like the Israeli flag, but in the middle instead of a Jewish star is a swastika, and there's
Mm.
a whole thing of like stop Zionism for destroying you know whatever, like typical BS, and you just see him and like the scene kind of like pauses where you see his face, like the hurt that he has. But what I was trying to say was that they actually got a modern Orthodox rabbi this time to go through and help them educate them, because the other problems they have is they either get some like random Reconstructionist rabbi who doesn't know anything about Orthodox Judaism, or
Mhm.
they get like anti-religious ex-Hasidim who like really hate Jews and really hate where they came from. Or on top of that, there was a point where they got this Black Hebrew Israelite rabbi, quote unquote, to help them understand like Jewish culture and Orthodox Jewish culture. Like it was just like I was reading some articles and like it was just crazy. But this time they're really trying to be more representative, more inclusive, um, and whatnot.
I'm gonna have to
So
see this sometimes called The Patient.
the patient, yes,
The
yes,
Patient. Where is
it's on
it?
Hulu. You can find it on Hulu or FX.
Mhm.
Yeah,
What's FX?
it's another TV channel. Um, but yeah, you want to talk about the hurricane?
Yeah, the Hurricane.
Hurricane.
Please,
Oh, I see the hurricane.
we need to be gender neutral. The person
It
cane.
person came. They came. They came. Yeah.
So
Well, it's a
anyway,
hurricane because
I
never mind.
so so you know I have these in a way, it's one of these things where when Dorian was heading towards us like 4 years ago, as I was standing in line buying batteries and buying battery powered, fans, this man behind me says to me, the only time in my life when I wish that all my preparation is for nothing.
Oh wow.
And it turned out, thank God for Dorian. As a matter of fact, I was joking with your sister who lives down here that, oh, it's so nice to, I said, it's so nice to take all these um, all these food items that non-perishable food items that I bought as an emergency for the hurricane and be able to eat them as snacks now. She said, yeah, she did the same thing with her supply. But so I did was so first I come home and the first thing I need to do is I want to bring both cars into the garage.
Ah,
Well, oh my God, trying to fit both cars in the garage. I thought it was going to be a simple matter. Drive both cars in. Right. No. First, I didn't really I had very little room for both cars in that garage.
yeah.
So I had to take everything I have stored in my garage and just put it very like right up against the walls of the garage, get it out of the way totally, pile it up. And don't ask, I had to pick up my trash can and had to put my trash can on top of all the stuff where I've got the pacemaker stuff stored in the garage to get it out of the way so I had more room. Then I tried to move the cars in, and I couldn't get out of my car because they were too close. So I had to maneuver the cars back and forth. Take one car, turn it around backwards, back in. See if now does this give me enough room to get out? Take another. No, it doesn't. Drive it out again. Turn it around frontwards. Drive it in again. Take the other car. Drive it around. Turn it around. Until I finally was able. What I finally had to do was I finally got the cars in, and the only way I could get out of one of the cars was to have to climb over the middle section and get out the other door. And then today, to take the cars back out of the garage, I had to actually lay down on the hood of the car and crawl over the hood of the car to get into the driver's seat to back the car out. And I've succeeded, unfortunately, in accidentally stripping, like, not totally, but stripping away part of the bottom of the trim of my garage door. Fortunately, I sent a video of it to this man in our neighborhood who does a lot of household repairs, and it was nothing. He said he can fix it, he can glue it back on, no problem. And thank God. So then after I did that, which took, I had to take at least a half an hour, maybe more, to keep these two cars in and out, try to get more room. Finally, and then not only that, but once you get it in, to press the button to see if the garage door can close down. Do I have enough room to close down the garage door? No, I don't. Can I move it forward? Well, if I move it forward, I'm going to crash into the refrigerator. No. So then I have to move forward a little bit, inch by inch, and keep testing the door to make sure the door comes down. Finally, that I'm able to close the garage. Then there's the matter of the getting out my fans and my batteries and my flashlights. And I have this big flashlight that you plug in and you recharge for 24 hours, and it's huge, you know what I mean? So I have all these flashlights and batteries that I got out. Fine. And then now it's time to close my hurricane shutters. I have never done this before. And the man who the company sent that installed the hurricane shutters, that was supposed to show me, supposed to demonstrate for me how I'm supposed to handle these shutters, said he didn't have time. I can watch the video. Well, I never watched the video. So now I have to close my hurricane shutters. And I'm closing them together, fine. And you have to get them together in such a way that you can turn the knob, because the knob sends this like little screw through the hole in the hurricane shutters.
Yeah.
To keep them together. Now, on top of the screw of the big thing of the knob that you turn is a lock. So I'm taking these keys that I was given. I put the key in the lock and I turn and turn and turn. Nothing happens. And so I said, well, forget it. At least I've got the bottom screwed in. And then there was the hurricane shutter that was way at the top of the window that's over my front door. Mm-hmm. And I have to take out this big ladder I have. I think this ladder has to be like an 8-foot ladder, something like that. Maybe it's a big ladder. I climb up to the top of it, and I'm saying, oh, come on, I can do this. I can do this. So what? I'm a senior citizen. I can do this. I can do this. Don't be a wimp. Don't be a chicken. I can do this. I can do this. And I am terrified of heights. So I climb to the top, and I'm able to actually, now the way that this window is a broad window, so the way that I have to close this hurricane shutter is I have to put the ladder at one end of the window, climb up, take that side of the hurricane shutter and pull it over to the middle. Then I have to take the ladder, move it all the way to the other side of the window, climb up and move that section of the hurricane shutter towards the middle. Then I have to get down off the ladder, move the ladder to the middle of the window, climb all the way up, and then with both hands, hopefully my legs will stay put on the ladder, and with both hands, push the edges of the hurricane shutters together and turn the screw. And it took a while for me to figure out just how to close the hurricane shutters so that the screw gets right into that hole and I can screw it shut. Now, I'm wondering, what am I supposed to do about locking it? So I thought to myself, well, some of my neighbors told me it's important to lock it because sometimes you get hurricane winds that are so powerful that if you don't lock it, if you just screw it and you don't lock it, it can blow it open. But then I have other neighbors that laughed and said, ha ha, I never lock them. I just screw the bottom. So I figured, you know what? I'm having a hard time with the lock. So I'll just rely on the bottom being screwed securely. Okay. Mm-hmm. So I climbed down off this ladder. Well, the rest of my hurricane shutters should be pretty easy to close because these are all, I have a one level house. So, and all my windows are on ground level. Okay. Should not be a problem. Should it? No, we're talking about me. Whenever I do something that is simple, it always turns out to be difficult. Just my luck. What can I tell you? So I'm going around and I'm fitting in the hurricane shutters. Sometimes I'm lucky, and a couple of the shutters I put together and I screw it in and I test it and it is together and it's fine. Others, it's like I keep having to put it in and rearrange it and rearrange it and rearrange it and rearrange it so that screw goes right through the hole. Then guess what I figured out? That lock I was having such a hard time with, and the keys that I kept trying to put in there and lock it, it wasn't locking. It was all I had to do. I didn't have to lock it at all. All I had to do was push in the lock and it was locked. Just push it in. And the purpose of the keys is so when you undo the hurricane shutters, you turn the key and the lock pops out.
Interesting.
Yes.
Well, we're almost out of time. Quick question before you soaked up everything else. What did you try and find out it's not for you?
Putting together hurricane shutters.
Oh, okay. All right. That was close. But
there has to be a whole list about this one. We could use this for an entire podcast.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. There's tons of podcasts talking about Narshkite.
Skiing. They're talking about my experience in skiing.
No. Oh yeah. Wait. I think you have. We could save it for some other time if it's going to take a while because we really don't have that much time. We got like 6 minutes.
We could save it for January during the snowfall.
Okay, I'll make a note of it. Skiing. But yeah. Yeah, it was funny today at work. I didn't realize how exhausted I was. I just been pushing myself because I'm trying to make up the hours that I used up for the Teufel. And my boss was like, "Oh yeah, I'm heading out." It was like 3:00. He's like, "Oh yeah, I'm heading out. I'll see you guys Monday. Remember, guys, no work tomorrow." So I'm like, "No work tomorrow. Why?" He's like, "Because it's Veterans Day." And then I was like, "Oh, thank God!" I just said it out loud without me even like thinking it, and they all started cracking up. I was just so exhausted because I've just been pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing. I'm doing all this stuff, trying to like get in, get out, just trying to make things happen. And I'm just so glad I finally have a day off where I can like maybe sleep in a little bit, maybe relax a little bit,
Enjoy, man. I didn't realize tomorrow. You're right.
Yeah.
I did not realize that. Oh my gosh. Creeps up on you. I have to laugh because when you told me that about how you said, "Oh, thank God,"
yeah,
you didn't really mean to say. There was one time I had when I was in junior high school, we had orchestra rehearsal during regular school time, and it was up to us to find out what we had missed in class. as a result of being, you had to be average or better to be in
Yeah.
the orchestra.
Yeah.
So I had to make up the work. It was no
Mm-hmm.
excuse. So I remember I had missed social studies that day. And so I went to my social studies teacher and I said to her, "Excuse me, I had orchestra rehearsal. Did we do anything important?" And she looks at me and she says, "Every day in class, we do something important."
Oh gosh. What's a lie that you commonly use?
A lie? A
Yeah,
lie? When have I lied?
a
Have I
lie that
ever
you
lied?
commonly use.
Lie that I
Like saying
commonly.
I'm fine, I'm busy, sorry, I'm late,
A
my kid is
lie.
sick.
A lie. A
Just
lie.
be
A
yourself and
lie.
you'll be fine. Like
A
the terrible
lie.
parent advice that you say, that you use that you never really take anyways.
Uh, a lie. I can't. I'm trying to think if I've ever lied. I don't think I've ever. I think I might have bent the truth a few times, but I
You've
don't think
never.
I've ever
Okay,
lied.
so what have you bent the truth on?
Bent the truth, though. I bent the
Yeah.
truth. Though. Oh yes. I don't know if I ever
What?
told the muskrat.
What? No, I'm totally lost.
Okay,
Explain.
here's what's going on. When I was in Crown Heights, I was at one of the Fabringans with the Lubavitcher Rebbe, and
Okay.
this girl had just gotten engaged, and
Yeah.
she was so excited, and everyone's wishing her mazel tov, and she had a picture of her husband in a locket that she wore around her neck. So she wanted to show me his picture. So she opens up the locket to show me. And what could I say? The guy looks like a muskrat with glasses.
Oh God.
And so she says to me, "Isn't he handsome? Isn't he handsome? Isn't he handsome?" And I said, "Oh, yes, he certainly is."
But what about like when we were kids though? You never told us any lies. You were always honest with us and straightforward.
I'm trying to think if I ever lied. Did I ever lie to you? Did I ever lie to you?
I mean, you gave
Did
bad
I ever...
advice and told us stupid things, but like I don't think you ever. Now
What
that I think about
do
it,
you
I
mean
don't
I
think
gave
you
you bad?
ever.
When did
You're
I give
right.
you
You're
bad
right.
advice?
I agree. I don't think you've ever lied to us. I think you were we were very
No,
open in the
no, I
house.
don't think I have. No, I don't think I ever lied to you. No,
Yeah.
no, I don't think no. Can't think of any time I ever lied to you guys. No, maybe that was my problem. I think I might have been too honest with you guys.
I liked it. I liked the honesty. Um, for me, I think it helped me grow up with a decent head on my shoulders. And when I had to face various levels of reality, I wasn't like shook to my core and had to curl myself up in a ball. I was able to take it and move forward, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Um, what instantly soothes anxiety for you?
Boy, that's a really good question. Sue's anxiety. I'm still working on that one.
So what do you
I
initially
I,
do? What
te-
do you
I tell you I tell you the truth. Sue's anxiety. I'll tell you the truth. I have never. This is sad. As far as anxiety goes, I have never been able to find anything that actually soothed anxiety. I just had to live through it,
mm,
and eventually, when the situation that was causing the anxiety finally had a conclusion,
yeah.
that's when my anxiety ended. I'm very lucky. I'm not one of, some, it's very sad. There are some people who constantly have anxiety for no real reason. I mean, these people really need, you know, who have constant anxiety for no logical reason, obviously, really need to um, see a psychiatrist and get on medication, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But there are,
You're
I,
running less than a minute now, Ima.
okay. But, Baruch Hashem, I'm the type of person who, if I have anxiety, I have anxiety for a reason. It's
Okay.
not something's going on.
All right. Well, we can help you with that anxiety. There's plenty of options and stuff that you can take. Um, but yeah, all right. I love you.
Yes, I
Have
know
a
what
wonderful
you know what calms
Shabbos.
me down right away. You know what
What?
calms me down right away, don't you? You know
Massages.
what always calms me
Classical
down?
music.
No,
What?
somebody stroking my back
I said
very
massages. That
softly.
counts.
Is that a massage?
I guess
But
so.
it's got to be a very light strokey
All right.
massage.
That's it. I love you, Ima. Take care.
Love you, sweet. Have a great Shabbos. Mwah.
Bye. Thank you for listening to Jewish Boy Calls His Mother. Please send us feedback and comments on our Facebook page and like and subscribe on YouTube. I know I would like it, and my mother would too.